Hey, I'm so glad that you're here, and I'm doing something a little bit different that moving forward, um, everybody who has a paid subscription to Writer's Haven by Christine Wolf will get these video updates. I'm sending this one out to everybody right now just so you get a taste of what these are like. What I'm going to try to do each time is offer a little snippet of writing life, inspiration, and craft. And I'm going to try to do it as quickly as possible. So, writing life. I just got back from my honeymoon. I'm just getting over being a little bit sick, and I am just trying to keep my head above water. I feel like a dog just paddling, trying to keep my head above the surface right now. And it's not a bad problem to have to be a busy writer, but I remember days, especially early on, when I decided that I wanted to carve out a writing life full time, that I felt like I wasn't gaining any traction. Um, I felt like I was writing into a void. I didn't have a community yet. I didn't understand craft yet. And I often felt overwhelmed and lonely and really doubtful. And um, there were people in my life who encouraged that doubt. One person in particular, I will never forget, and it really inspires me to keep going every time. This person once said to me, "Well, your writing is more of a hobby, right? It's not really a job." And anybody who is carving out a writing life, I think, can appreciate the fact that this is a long game. This is a marathon, and there are sprints for sure, especially if you're working against a deadline, but you've got to commit and you've got to take the long view. I had that inside. I knew that that's what it would take, but others around me weren't there. And so it's really easy when you're already sort of doubting yourself to listen to those other voices. So if there's any advice I can give on the writing life, it is do your best to address your own self doubt, tap into communities, find your people. Um, Use me as a resource if you're struggling with that. I'm happy to help connect you. But once you sort of shore up your own um, sense of confidence and your outlook, it'll make it that much easier to tune out the doubters or the skeptics or the haters, frankly, who might not like what you're writing or might just not be your readers. So I hope that helps. I scribbled down notes because I wanted to make sure I got to everything. I'm coming to you from the brick and mortar. I don't know why I'm doing this. It's the brick and mortar Writers Haven that I run in Evanston. I'm in one of the three private offices, and we have a big community level on the first floor where people come to write together. And I'm so proud of this place. I've been building this community since 2014, and it has grown exponentially. And now, um, from the coaching that I do, I think I have 13 clients who've gotten their books published and or essays that have found places of enormous pride for them, and it's just an honor of indescribable depth to be able to help people bring their personal stories to life. And so it's that's been my marathon, is just building this place up. And you are hearing me on Writer's Haven by Christine Wolf Substack. So um, some of the things that I do through all of these efforts are to lead workshops. Some of them are in person, some of them are virtual. But in terms of my writing life and the workshops that are coming up, I'll link all the upcoming stuff that's coming, which includes expressive writing for emotional healing in person workshops at Northwestern University and the Chicago Public Library. And then in February at Northwestern, I'll be teaching a Memoir 101 course in person. But there will be lots of virtual writing workshops and courses coming up. So please subscribe so that you've got updates on those. Um, Okay, that's writing life. That's things are just kind of like happening all over the place, and I'm just thrilled to be a part of so many people's lives and stories. Inspiration. Um, what I really hope that you will tap into is when it's time to say no and when it's time to say yes. I already talked a little bit about when it's time to say no. Tune out the doubters and the skeptics and the haters as much as you can. Your community will really help you to be able to do that. Saying no, um, even to your own self-doubt, is critical. But saying yes, that is the most that's the key to a successful writing life. Saying yes with boundaries, of course, but saying yes to things that scare you, that make you feel uncomfortable, that make you wonder if you're an imposter for trying something new. It's so important to keep growing as a writer, to keep stretching, whether you're writing a book, an essay, you know, whether you're writing a novel, whether you're writing a speech for somebody, whether you're doing content writing, uh, whether you're writing a eulogy for somebody and you've never done it before. All of these writing acts are little tests, and when we push ourselves a little bit, doors open. And let me give you just one example of this. This is the inspiration that I hope to give you. So I came out of college. I worked in advertising and marketing for 10 years. Went back, got my master's degree in teaching, and I taught at the early childhood and elementary school level for almost 10 years. And when I decided around the age of 40 that I wanted to try a writing life, and I didn't know what I was doing, I dove in. One of the first things that somebody said to me at a conference, which I highly recommend, if you can attend one conference every other year or every year, um, it makes a world of difference. But somebody at one of these conferences said, even if you're just getting started, begin to build your community. Some people call that a platform. You don't have to have gajillions of connections and followers. You don't have to be a celebrity. You don't have to have something massively newsworthy and tragic happen to you to build a following. You want to find your people. And if you have 5 loyal followers or connections, build from there. But whatever you do, whether it's to build a website or your own Substack or some newsletter that you're regularly reaching out to people to share your writing and hear about others' lives, that's where it starts and it just builds. And it takes time, but it's worth it. So that advice was, I will never forget how grateful. Um, Actually, I will never forget how surprised I was to be encouraged to start building something like that before I'd even published anything. Um, but it makes sense. If you do that as you're going, uh, you get it. I don't have to explain that to you. But saying yes to opportunities changed my life, and here's why. When an opportunity came up for me in, I think it was 2016, um, to pitch myself as a co-author for what would eventually become the first book that I wrote, I remember feeling absolute fear. You know, who am I to write a book about politics? That's it was about 2 local politicians, and anyway, long story short, it took 7 years, but I finally came out with my first book, which is Politics, Partnerships, and Power, about 2 former members of Congress from my Illinois 9th congressional district. They were Republicans. I'm a Democrat. I mean, what? Um, it was one of the most important pieces of writing that I've ever done with Jay Pridmore, my co author. So we write this book, it comes out in 2023. And recently, one of my college friends reached out to me and let me know that he's running for a vacancy in this very district. My Congresswoman, Jan Schakowsky, beloved Jan, huge Jan fan, she is deservedly retiring. And so Phil Andrew, who I went to college with right here, um, he's running for Jan's vacant spot. There are many people in the running, but when I went over to talk to Phil about his campaign and asked him how I can help, I brought my book because my book is proof that I know this district from the research that I've done, from the people that I've talked to, from the storytelling that I've been able to sort of do through speeches about the book and book talks. So, did I ever, while I was teaching preschool, imagine myself as working on communications on a congressional campaign for somebody? No, 100% no. There's no way I could have ever seen that. But because I, first of all, said yes to this urge that I felt to be a writer, that opened doors. Then, as a writer, I found the courage and dared myself to throw my hat in the ring for a book that I wanted to give a shot at. I mean, I hoped they'd pick me to be a co author, but you know, I didn't, there were no guarantees. And they said yes. The publisher said yes. That led to being invited to work on the communications team for a congressional run. Um, you don't know where your writing path is going to take you unless you try things. And am I scared? Am I often feeling like a complete fraud when I'm doing things? All the time, every day. When I stand up in front of a crowd, if I do a moth storytelling, 5-minute story that I have to memorize, I am petrified every single time. And I've done it multiple times. But it's that sort of, it's the adrenaline. I don't jump off of cliffs. I don't go paragliding. I don't go scuba diving. I use words as my rush. And so if you look at that as going on an adventure with your writing, really, the world does open up for you. Okay, so that's a little bit of inspiration. Craft. Here's just the best craft advice that I might have ever received. And while I'm talking, I'm going to find going all the way back to the original source. Sorry for being flighty here, but I really want to give credit where credit is due. Here we go. So I recently went to the Story Studio storyboard festival, which was held at the Newberry Library, and it was remarkable. And among the tons of incredible speakers and topics, I listened to a talk by Chicago author Christy Tate, who wrote, among other books, the memoir Group. She also wrote BFF. She's working on a novel right now. But I want to find my notes here because she had all of us do an exercise. Everybody who's sitting in her seminar, she asked for a show of hands. How many people have a scene in mind for either a book or even, personal essay that they're either avoiding or struggling with or just not quite sure how to get started? And 75% of us raised our hands, of course. Uh, what she said was, look, you don't have to come out of the gate writing a Pulitzer level scene. You don't have to come out of the gate writing 3,000 words. What you need to do is consider what the bones of the scene what the bones are. So she had us listen to a paragraph that she read aloud, and she had us scribble down all of the nouns that we heard. And then we kind of talked about what were those nouns, and there were a ton of them in this one opening scene. And you realize very quickly that the nouns, which are the bones of any good scene, really guide the reader in terms of, who's in the scene. A noun is a person, place, or thing. So the persons, people, who is the person, or who are the people that are in a scene? What's the setting? What's the place? What does it feel like? And then things. What sort of objects are in this space? So obviously, it sounds very just simple, right? But she then had us think about the scene that we were mulling over or struggling with, and she gave us 1 minute. Maybe she gave us 2 minutes max, and we were instructed to make a list of all of the nouns that might go into that scene. And I'll tell you, my hand never stopped. I've been thinking about this one particular scene for a while, and I threw down all of the nouns that I needed. Now, some people who haven't been thinking about a scene or have just really are just coming new to a scene, they might just have 5 nouns. But that's the thing. You start with something and then you build from there. So doesn't matter if you have 40 nouns or 5 nouns, it's a start, right? That's how a scene begins. And then what she advised us to do was go back and look at that list and add a corresponding verb to each of those nouns. For me, and Christy said the same for her, it's much harder to write down the verbs, but other people, their brains are wired so that it's easier to do the verbs. So maybe if you go back and do a verb list, that might be where you find that you're prolific in just jotting down what needs to go potentially in a scene. So I found that when I was doing my verbs, I was also coming up with adjectives and I was sneaking them in. But what I ultimately discovered was doing this exercise gave me a page full of content that I could then rearrange, shape, build off of, layer. And it was, I mean, I'll get tearful. Any writer knows that when you kind of like unstuck yourself, it's so freeing, so liberating. Just so, like, you just want to take the biggest deep breath and sigh because you feel released from this. A lot of times we call it writer's block. I don't believe in writer's block. I just believe that we've just got something that's there that we can't access. So that was a way in that she showed us, and I've been telling that to my clients and my students, and it's really kind of a life-changing thing for a writer. Okay, what else did I? Oh, so I think that Christy got that idea. She said that she does not take credit for that. I think it was Leslie Jameson who wrote Splinters who gave her that tip or that exercise. So, and if Leslie made it up, I'm not sure. I still need to do a little bit of digging. But if Leslie, you're the one who did it, thank you. Thank you to Christy Tate for being a literary citizen and sharing that with a room full of us. And now I'm just trying to pay it forward too, because I hope that helps you unstick your writing. And I hope I've covered all the things. I've tried to do a little bit of writing life, inspiration, and craft. And if you like this sort of quick burst of me blathering, sign up for a paid subscription because I'm going to try to do these every week, and then I will open up the comments for the paid subscribers so that we can create a little bit more of an in-depth conversation about maybe where you're stuck, um, if you're looking for community, all the things. So thank you for watching. I'm so glad that you're here in any capacity, free or not, free, paid, founding member. I don't even know, but thanks for coming. Talk to you soon. Bye.